Hey guys, what's up? So in this video I'll be creating a simple file manager using C#.NET. So let's get started. First of all, just create a simple new project by going to File, New. From there, selecting C# as your language and Windows Form application. Give your project some name. So I have already created a simple project. So for that, first of all, we need things like two buttons in order to navigate. So just 1 and 2, and I also require a list view for listing all the directories and folders, directories and files, and then I require a text box which will be working as our address bar where we'll be entering the file path and stuff. So just keep this here and keep this here and just keep this here. Okay. Now I'll be just simply expanding this stuff. I'll be finalizing the UI later. So I now also require something called a label. So I require one, and I actually require 4 labels here, and now the third one over here. One is actually for displaying the file name and the other one is actually for displaying the file type. So we'll be just going to the properties and just giving it the label file name, and this one as file type, and this one we'll be just making it blank. This one also I'll be just making it blank, and this one I will just rename it as file name label, and this one I'll be renaming it as file type label. So that's perfect. And this one will be our going back, like navigating back. So this one is our back button, and this one button 2 will be our go button. I'll just name the button 2 to go button, and this one to back button, and this one is the text box that has the file path. So I'll name it as file path text box. List view, I'll just keep the name as list view itself. I don't have any issues with that because I just have one. So I'll just create an image list and I'll just name it as icon list, which will be containing all the icons which is required, and the icon size would be 48,48, and that's all. And we'll just change the to 32 or 24, whichever you like. And for the list view, we'll be selecting the large icons and the list as icon list, that is the image list over here. Just expand it till here. Okay, just beautifying. We'll get started. So whenever it initializes, we just need to create a variable file path, okay, which is of private string, which will be by default D drive. Okay, so whenever the form loads, we will just keep the file path text box dot text equals file path. Okay, then we will call a method load files and directories. So we don't have this method defined over here, we'll create it over here. Public void load files directories. So this method will be used for loading all the files and directories, and or else if you want to open a file, this method will be used. Okay, so whenever you have a file, there are two types. Either it can be a file or a folder. So deciding that we can use for deciding that, we can use a boolean variable like isFile. By default it will be false because we need that for navigation also. Okay, now we have the go button to be programmed. Okay, so we'll do it. So for the loading button, we'll be creating a, like whenever the user load files, load button action, we'll be just writing it as a simple function so that it can be called anywhere. Like whenever you enter a file path over here and press go, it should list all the contents of the directory inside here. And the thing is that whenever you double click on an item, it should also perform the same function. So I am just making it as a same function, so I don't have to rewrite it again and again. Okay, whenever if isFile is equal to false, whenever it loads, it makes just this one as false by default. And what it does is file path is equal to text and just calls load file path directories method. So I'll call this load button action. Okay, now I just need to go and listen to a specific event that is over here when an item selection changed. So over here, whenever the item selection changes, I'll just create one more thing called private string currently selected item name, which will be just null for the time being, just an empty string, which can be a file or a folder. Like when whatever the item you select, it can be a folder or a file. So that is e.item.text. Okay, so you would be thinking, what's this e.item.text? We'll be just doing it shortly. So now we just need to populate it. We'll use a try catch. It's an empty exception E, just to prevent unwanted errors. So we'll be using directory info. This object is not found, actually this object is found inside, just we use the library system.io. now we can see it's created file list. Okay, just create that, don't do anything else. So now file list is equals new directory info of the file path. So now we'll need to create two more things. One is the file list, file info files is equals file list dot get files, and sorry, it's a file list info, like file info array, that is a list of files. So and we will also fetch all the directories inside that directory info, which is an array of DARs. Gets all the files, and this one get all the directories. For the time being, I'll just add DARs. So now we will use a for loop. Okay, int I equals 0, a simple for loop, I less than files dot length I plus plus, and we'll be using another for loop, I int I equals 0, I less than DARS dot length I plus plus. Okay, so now we'll be using this, we'll be populating the list view. list view 1 dot items dot add, that is now files. We'll have a list of files inside which the ith item dot name. So here it will be list view dot items dot add of dirs of the ith item dot name. That's it. This is all we need. So we can provide a second parameter for this add method of list view, that will be the icons. That will be doing it later. Okay, for the time being we just created a method which can load the files and directories within a given path. For the first time when you load the file path is D drive, so it will be just setting the text box thing to the file path and it will be loading the dir. So if you just run it now, for the first time it may take a few moments like to build for the first time. You can see it's listing all the files and directories in my D drive. I'll just show you. Just go to my D drive. It's listing all the folders and including the files inside my D drive. So that's actually what we need. Now whenever the user changes or selects the item can be of two types. I told you, like if so file attributes file attr equals file dot get attributes of the file path. We need to provide that is a file path plus slash plus the currently selected item name, which can be a file or a directory. So we need to check whether it's a file or a directory when the user selects it. So if that is logical and it's a bitwise and, it's not logical and, file attributes dot, if it's a directory then it must be equal to file attributes dot directory, then is file is equals false because it's a directory, else is file is equals true because it's a file. So this is false, it's a directory, and if it's a directory we can change the file path, like we can change the file path to file path text box equal dot text equals file path plus current item name. So we can permanently change that. If you are selecting a folder, we actually need to navigate to that folder, so we can change the file path to file path slash the currently selected item name. That if it's a folder we can go to that, if it's a file we cannot navigate into, we will be only navigating into a directory. So we'll be changing the file path, and whenever you press the go button it will set the file path to the file path text box dot text, and it will be calling this method which will be in turn loading the files. So if you run it now, if you just click on this, you can see the path is changing over here. Okay, OneDrive, and if you press go, okay, nothing happened because I'm not loading it properly. No, it's getting loaded. Actually, if you see the contents of this directory list increased. Okay, if you just press, okay, some error occurred. The file could not be found OneDrive/OneDrive. So the thing is that I need to clear the list view every time a file is loaded. So I'll just go over here and I will do a list view 1 dot items dot clear method. This will clear the list view. So now if I run it, now you can see if I press the any folder like polpjob, just go inside it. You can have this folder and just go back. Okay, now if you go to games, click over here, Froza, go, you are going inside that. So that's done actually. Now you just need to go to the properties, and over here in events you just need to ensure you do the double click event, that is the mouse double click capture event. Okay, you don't have to do anything, just call the, it has to perform the same function as load button action. That is, whenever you double click you need to perform the same function as the go button. Okay, so it will be doing the same. What we are going to actually do is, if each file is true, then we need to open it rather than like displaying the contents inside it, because we cannot display the contents of a file view, like file inside the list view. So I'll be changing this to this way, so that if the else part works, if it's not a file then it's a directory, then it will be opening the directory and loading the contents of the directory. We will just create a string temp file path. Okay, just create an empty string temp file path. Okay, temp file path is equals the file path, currently selected item name, that is the file path slash the currently selected file name. So now we need to open it, we will do it later, but for the time being we will set these two things, that is a file name and file type if it's a file. Okay, so file name label.text equals file info file details of the temporary file path, and this is it. Now we need to set the file details dot name over here, and file type label dot text equals file details dot extension, that is the file type. So that's it. Now just will be running it. Whenever you press go, if it's a file then it will be displaying the file details over here, and if it's a directory we'll be doing this. So before doing that we'll be also doing one thing, that is file attr attributes file attr equals, for the time being I'll give it null. We'll be just fetching the file attributes. File attr is equals new, file dot get attributes of temp file path. We'll be just doing file attr equals file dot get attributes of the file path. Our intention is that this method should be only using the file path variable or the temporary file path variable in case if it's a file. So we'll just cut these things, we'll just keep it all these things over here, and we'll just check if just file attribute ampersand file dot if it's a directory, if it's a directory we will be doing this, and or else if it's a file, just file name label dot text equals, we'll be setting the current name to that. Okay, okay, just get rid of this. I just will run it. So if I press this, it changes to SnatchDreams. It can see the file name changes, but if I select a file, it's not doing anything. So if I select operating systems and press go, it will be taking me into that specific directory. These are all like ISO files. So if I press a file and now press go, you could see this, it's not actually going or navigating me anywhere. Instead it's just listing its extension and its file name over here, that's all. Now if I just get rid of this thing and just press go, it should take me back. If I double click the songs directory, it should list all the songs. If I double click over here, you can see it's giving the name and the extension over here. So that's it, our thing is actually working. Now we need to give it an icon and other stuffs. So for this I have an icon list which we'll be using. So I have downloaded few icons for few file types. So if you just notice, the 10 is the index specified for the folder icon, and for the file, let's say every file is currently an unknown type, so it's the 8th index. If you look into the parameters of this add method, you actually have two type of add methods. One is just the text which you will be displaying here, and along with that you can also specify the index. So if it's a file, in case it's a file, we saw it was the index was 8 and it was 10. So now if you run it, for files it will be having this icon. If you double click it, it will be giving the file name and the file type, and if you double click on a folder, it will be taking you inside the folder. So it's working fine. So your basic thing for a file manager is all set. So we'll be creating two more functions, that public void remove \. Okay, this method is necessary in case there are, like, whenever you enter a file path, there is a chance that you accidentally type a slash. If it's having a trailering slash, I'll get rid of it. So one more method I just want to create is public void go back. Like, this method will be invoked if you want to navigate backwards. What we are going to do is we'll just make a string path equals file path text box dot text. So we'll be taking the path from the address bar or the file path text box that we have created. Now the path we'll be modifying into path dot substring. We'll be taking all the way from 0 to the path dot last index of slash. Is file equals false, because we want to make sure it's a directory, and file path dot dot text is equals the new path that we have created, the new path. It will be set, and we'll be calling the remove \, that we don't have, like, we haven't implemented yet, but we'll be implementing it. The thing is that now if you see, if it is having a file path like C drive / SDK / being there, the last index would be that slash, so it won't be going back. So we'll be removing the slash if it has a slash at the end of the path first, then we will be searching for the last slash. That will be that will be giving you the location of the previous, like the parent directory or the previous directory. Okay, so now how we are gonna remove the \. It's pretty simple. You don't have to do much anything over here, like string path is equals file path text box dot text. This will be the path, as you know. So if the path dot last index of slash, that is, if it has a slash at the end, the index of the slash will be equal to the path dot length -1. You just got the concept. If it is a string and its length is equivalent, length minus 1 is equivalent to the location of the last slash, then it means there is a slash present at the end of the string. It's a simple string operation. File path text is equal to path dot substring of 0, it's actually 0 to m minus 1 or n minus 1, so that is file path dot length minus 1. Substring, okay, sorry, you need to text, let us say text. Okay, that's it. Just remove the slash, just for like as I told you, just for security, just remove the slash. We'll be running it. Okay, just press Android, it's working. Just press SDK, it's working. Just press on a file type, it's working. And if you just go back, it's not working because of this thing. I made a method for going back, that is the go back method is like I'm designed this function, but I did not call it over here. Just go back. Ta-da! Because in this go back method I'm only just removing and fixing the path. I'm not calling this stuff. Like this thing must be done in order for the list view to change its content. Okay, so if I just click on operating systems, it's listing all the files. If I click on the file, it's giving me this, and if you go back, it's going back. If you get into this, it's giving me this, and if you go back, it's working, it's fine. If you go into the songs, it's listing all the songs. Now one more thing, we need to open the file if it's a file. Okay, so if it's a file, just open it. That can be done using import, one more thing, using system.diagnostic okay, process dot start of @ temp file path. Okay, now if you just open it up, if you double click on the recovery text, it will be loading these tabs, along with it will be opening it in the notepad. I have a movies directory, so in which I have a coherence movie, so you can see it's being opened. So I'll just close it. I just wanted to show you it will open. So if you click on the directory, it's gonna open, navigate back. So one more extra thing I want to show you is, if you want to like change the icon of the file according to its extension, you can also implement that using a switch case. Like you are getting the file info over here, so I'll create a string file extension equals nothing. Okay, so file extension equals files of I dot extension to upper, so that it would work fine if it's a lowercase or uppercase. We just have to check which one. Okay, switch of file extension. Okay, we'll have multiple cases over here, and now finally the default case, just a break. Okay, now if it's a default thing, that is if it does not fall into any of these categories, just do this, or if it falls into this category, just do this. I'll change the index of the image. Give me a second, because I don't know the index of the images by heart. So just I'll show you. So go over here, click on the image list, and you have added the icons you want. So it's a PDF, the index is 4, doc is 3, and PDF was 4, I guess. And now exe, it was 7, and mp4 6, and mp3 5. So 5, 6, 7. For exe it was 7, mp3 it was 5, and mp4 it was 6. And one more thing, for images it's 9, that is png. Just press cancel or ok, doesn't matter. Used 6 instead of 9. SnatchDreams. Okay, you can see this now, it's working. PDF is being displayed with PDF icon, image is displayed with image icon, doc with doc icons, videos with video icon, unknown files with the simple file icon, and the directories are getting the directories icons. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. And I just want to thank you, Patel, who suggested making this video. So thank you so much. Happy New Year and a happy Christmas. Enjoy, guys.